You came with it.
Listen, man, I had to find one this week, Paul. I had to find one this week it was gonna get everyone to the right energy level.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was the right choice. I hope you guys listening at home enjoyed it. Why? Because we're back. But we're back with a special one this week. But we'll get into that. There's time. There's time to get into that. You know who's on the mic. You know who's speaking right now at this point. It is King Kekavelli, the notorious K.E.K. Now, that voice that you're hearing, that other voice, that's not the guy talking right now, but the guy you're hearing in the background. That guy right there. I don't know if you caught it just now, but that guy right there.
On the ad-libs.
Come on, man. Listen, he's been doing this at this point. Some of your favorite movie franchises don't have the back catalogue that he has.
That's facts.
Certain actors don't have the amount of movies in their filmography as he has podcast episodes recorded.
Facts.
Of course, I'm talking about the illustrious, the accomplished Paul Olubayo, otherwise known as Podcast P.
I said people were back to do maintenance. Yeah, we gonna rock that crack when it came in.
Yes, sir.
15 weeks, but it feels like we've been doing this for ages.
We're
this newest podcast is going to be one for the ages. It's me. It's Podcast P. I love what you did there, fam. I said filmography. I was going to freak out and say we got a podography.
Oh, man. Listen, oh, man. Look at you.
Just mixing the way I craft these sentences so cleverly aligned. It's like I'm a writer.
You're not. You're a podder.
But you know who is a writer?
Who's a writer?
We'll get into it. We'll
get into it. We have time, man. We can't give them all the sauce.
That's it.
Listen, man, we are so excited for today's episode. For those of you who follow us on our Instagram platform, at @2_stubborn_ Nigerians.
That's right.
RP for the people who were in the back because they couldn't hear. At @2_stubborn_ Nigerians. Check the description. I'm sure it's there. Someone will probably put it there, I'm sure. Listen, we've been advertising this episode. Why? Because it's one that we personally have been looking forward to. An artist that the both of us have so much respect for. If we flash back to a few episodes ago when we were doing our Two Stubborn Nigerian awards, there was an artist there who we wanted to give the award to. We nearly did. If it had not been for Brandy, we would have given them the award for one of the best R&B projects of last year.
And if it had not been for Brandy washing Monica the way she did in that verses, he would have been R&B artist of the year too. Man.
It really isn't fair what Brandy did, to be honest. But that's Brandy. What are you gonna do about it?
That's a different podcast episode because that's M to the O to the E.
But nah, listen, this artist, after we did the Two Stubborn Nigerian awards, we reached out, and by some luck, bearing in mind we're only 15 episodes in, a lot of people have to wait until they're hundreds in before they get this type of opportunity. But by some luck, we managed to agree to do something special for the people. Paul, I'm excited to announce this. We finally got our first interview with the illustrious, the accomplished, the decorated artist known as Will Jordan.
Yes, we are so honestly delighted and honored to be welcoming Will Jordan to the Two Stubborn Nigerians podcast. For those of you who don't know, Will Jordan is a three-time. That's thrice. Thrice. Trifecta. Three-peat. Will Jordan is a three-time platinum.
Man.
Not wood. Not bronze.
Man.
Not even gold.
Jesus.
Platinum.
Fam. Some of your favorite artists are platinum,
Bro. Cole's platinum with no feature. Cole's
So
quadruple platinum with no features. Like he does this. Like he only stays in platinum. But some of your favorite artists aren't platinum for real. Grammy nominated songwriter, and like we just said, he's an artist, like for real. He's his own solo artist as well, and someone who we have just such great respect and appreciation for. His most recent project is the EP entitled Be Good. It came out on October 13th, 2020. And for those of you who are, part of the Two Stubborn Nigerian hive, you would have heard me list it as a recommendation pretty much as soon as it came out. And like Kex just said, it was ranked second in our favorite R&B projects of the year at the most illustrious Two Stubborn Nigerian Awards, the only award show that truly matters. Hold tight, all of the nominees and the winners. Armani Caesar, we see you. Shout out JT. But yeah, we're so thrilled, and we'll agreed to join us for an interview, a pre-recorded interview. This was an interview that we were thankfully were able to record last week prior to the lockdown restrictions coming into play. So those of you who are going to try and tell on us, relax, calm down, put your phone down.
Come on, man, like, chill. Look, is that what we do? We're still snitching,
bro. In 2021, after Savage and Morgan Freeman already told you,
Jesus. So you're a rat. And a snitch.
Is a motherfucking rat. We're stupid. We're so stupid. I don't know what's wrong with us.
Instead of us to just introduce the team.
Like, we have a whole 2-hour interview. I'm like,
like, people are ready to hunker down. Yo, I think let's get straight into it, man.
Yeah.
To start off, this is Be Good by Will Jordan.
That's coming back.
And we're just here with an amazingly special guest.
So special.
This is an artist who we both have a great deal of love and respect for, someone who we both came to our prominence in the year 2020. We've spoken about him multiple times on our podcast now, actually. And we're extremely privileged. It's a big deal.
Man, after 15 episodes.
It's a big deal. We're so pleased to welcome Will Jordan.
Wow.
To the Two Stubborn Nigerians podcast.
Wow, thank you so much.
Oh, man. Will, how you doing today? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I feel so honored right now. And I'm sorry, they don't know that I messed up the first intro. I heard myself echoing in the background. So that's dope that you still have this was even the energy. Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much. I feel special.
You know what it is? Like, literally, we say it every single time. We'll both be like so tired, so down, and then as soon as we just start recording, it's just like, okay, we go. Like
right.
Don't know how it is.
Just wake up.
Well, man, for real, thank you for being with us. Happy New Year. I hope you had a great Christmas. We were just talking off mic. You're saying this New Year wasn't very different for you, being able to just like relax, chill at home, not necessarily have to go out or anything like that.
Yeah, I pretended to be hurt and sad and alone because I couldn't go out to all the clubs and be around a bunch of people. But really, in my heart, I was just, this is what I dreamed of. That was my Christmas present.
The perfect.
Not the reason, because obviously there's a lot of like horrible things happening that are causing this. But as far as the bright side goes, I was at home in the dark watching Netflix. My daughter, I hung out with my daughter until midnight, and then when she went to sleep, I just spent some alone time. So it's so boring. It sounds so sad.
No, that's great. I actually think, like, in a weird way, like, I know we were talking about how we wanted to structure this just like off mic a bit, but I actually think that actually leads me in really well to like a quick question. Obviously, with how the world's been and being at home a lot more, how has it affected your like music process of writing and creating music? Has it helped? Has it hindered in any way, shape, or form?
Well, yeah, it's kind of been both. I guess it's changed it. Earlier we were getting ready to talk about whether or not I was an introvert.
Yeah.
I believe I'm what they call a social introvert. So I can I enjoy and I can get energy from being around people and like get excited about it and have a good time. But I have to monitor that because I'll like burn myself out, and then all of a sudden I just crash and I don't know what happened and why I can't like move or get out of my bed. But it's because I spent too much time giving and giving and giving energy and like listening and being there and supporting and being excited for other people that I forget like my own needs, and then I gotta like retreat into my cave. So this was it was tricky because again, I do enjoy, I learned how much I do like being around people, and I learned how much like I do need other people and I do need to socialize. I'm not a real true pure introvert. Like I do kind of feel sad when I'm not around friends, and like but as far as creativity goes, yeah, it just changed. I went from like working in a recording studio and being there like most of the time to like being at home and recording like in my room. And it's something I haven't done since I was like, I think I started working in that studio when I was 18 or 19. So it's been like over 10 years of me working in another place and like having to go to the studio to get ideas out and to work on music and to make beats. So it was like bittersweet that I couldn't go to the studio and be in that environment, but it was also dope that I could wake up at 3 a.m. and record an idea that I liked. So that's, I mean, as far as recording goes, that's how it's affected it.
Fair. I mean, for us just to take it back a little bit, to like take a step back, obviously we have a segment that we like to do on this podcast anyway, usually, which is like a lot of people listening, they don't necessarily know me, but they might know Paul. And some people know Paul, but they might not know me. That today, especially, there might be a few people listening that might not necessarily know you.
What?
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's crazy. The amount of times,
I'm joking.
but the amount of times we've spoken about you is crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah, well, truly, we tried to give you an award here, so for those not who've done the research yet, it's nuts. But I think it'll be pretty cool if you sort of walk them through your come up story of how you started in music, your journey throughout it. Like, how did you navigate it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. This is usually tricky for me because, I mean, most artists, when somebody asks us our story and our journey, it's easy to go on a long 2-hour explanation of everything we went through that inspired our first song and second song. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I'm an artist and a producer and a dad. That's important because my daughter plays a big part in my story. But I'm an artist, producer, and I'm from Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma is about 30 miles south of Seattle, Washington. So where Quincy Jones, Bruce Lee, Nirvana, Macklemore, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam. There's a lot of music that came out of here. It was a long time ago, so a lot of people forget about that. That's even where Ray Charles and Quincy met. So I'm from this area. I grew up in a house. My dad's a preacher. My mom's a teacher. I'm the fourth of 6 kids. And I grew up in a neighborhood called Hilltop. The year I was born, 1989, there was a shootout between Crips and some Army Rangers. So that gives like an idea of the area and the neighborhood and the temperature of the street I grew up on. And most people have no idea that it was like that up there. So for me, I spent a lot of time outside with friends, but then also like just for safety's sake, I spent a lot of time inside. And because I had a lot of time to be inside, I played a lot of video games and made a lot of music and wrote a lot of songs. And then also my family is very musical. Everybody sings or plays an instrument. And I was kind of like I was like the runt of musically. I was like the last one to sprout because I didn't really find my voice or what my purpose was in music till I got older. But I always had a love for it and like a passion for it. And even like a lot of people hear me now or see me now or we work together and they think I've been doing music my whole life, but it was more like, I think I was just in love with it before I really knew how to make it. So I listened to music nonstop. I always had a radio playing. When I slept, I listened to smooth jazz and classical music because we weren't allowed to listen to anything that wasn't gospel growing up. So all those things had a huge effect on like who I am, how I hear music, how I relate to music. And then the last thing I think is important just as a creative is I'm what they call an HSP, which means highly sensitive person. It sounds kind of funny, but it means that growing up, it was tough because like I was very, 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 very sensitive to stuff, to like emotions, to sounds, to lights, to like people, and to like anything, like really anything. And so that's important too, because the way I heard music, I felt it really deeply, and it was like stuff would make me cry and like feel very deeply about just like minor things. This is all sounding probably crazy right now, but as we go on, you'll see why all these things play a part. But that's in a nutshell who I am.
That's huge. I want to ask a question based on something you said, which I thought was really interesting. You said, you know, as you were growing up, you were in love with music, but you didn't know how to make it yet.
Yeah.
Could you talk? Because like we're two people who like we love music. We have a podcast about it, right? And like we joke, but not really joke, but also joke on this podcast all the time that at some point we've got a mixtape coming somewhere, you know. And like so many people, I'm someone who like I have lyrics that I've written down on my phone that have been locked away in my notes app for like so many years, but I've never necessarily known how to like make music. And I'm not serious about ever making music. But how was that transition? Like, as someone who loves music, where was that moment where you started to actually formally learn how to make music?
Well, the funny thing about that was it's still happening now. It took my whole life. My story is very, very like typical as far as like an African American male from the West Coast. Like is like growing up, I have a very similar story to most artists and most producers, singers, and songwriters, except one key thing is that like my process of learning music wasn't like, wow, you're good at this, you should take it seriously. It was more like, you probably shouldn't be doing this. You should maybe consider other things, because I hear the passion and I hear that you like this, but it needs some work. So I came from like far behind. It wasn't that I wasn't good, it was that it was bad. And so I had to catch up from being bad at what I was doing to try to like be decent. So most of from childhood up until my 20s was like trying to not make bad music and just trying to figure it out and like catch up to my peers. Like I looked up to like local artists, like because they could do something I couldn't do. So like people that I knew, I saw them like Jay-Z, because it was like, man, this guy can rap and he's in the studio and he has music on MySpace. Like, how do I get to that level? Like, it was just one step by step by step by step. And I think that when you really love it and when you're stubborn enough, you can kind of tune out what goes on the outside that would discourage you from trying it and giving it a shot. Because the hardest part is breaking through that barrier of, do I have the right to do this? When you get into I feel like when you get into any new field, just like feeling like you belong or feeling like you're allowed to put that title in your bio is the hardest part and is the scariest part. Because once you claim it, like, yeah, I'm an artist, and it's like, oh, really? Where's your music? And then you got to find out if it's real or not. And I had to learn how to like cut myself off from what other people thought and what they said and how they felt about it. I have a lot of stories of just rejection and just like hilarious but painful rejection. But I think like getting through that and getting used to those no's and finding the love for it myself and making music for me, and that's what kept me going and helped me to get through that.
Fair.
So either of you, when you're working on a mixtape, just keep it a secret.
Yeah.
In 2028, we're coming out.
Yeah, in 2028. Hey, that's what we're looking at right now. We're literally, we've been saying we're just waiting for Snow Allegro to send her vocals back.
The vocals, and you be ready.
That's all we need. That's
so dope.
Oh man, I think a big part of preparing for this interview, for me anyway, is I was trying to sort of get to know you more outside of this album that I love so much. And in reading your bio on Twitter and Instagram and everything, I saw that you're actually a Grammy-nominated writer, which a lot of people might not know, including people who are like fans of this album the same way we are.
I'm so sorry. I thought I muted my mic while I burped, and I did it. Oh my god!
Whoa, you don't know why that's funny. You don't know why that's funny. Literally, like 2 weeks ago when we were recording, we were literally like, "Yeah, we've done so well not to burp or sneeze on mic."
And I came in and changed that. Start 2021 off right.
Right.
You were talking about me being Grammy nominated and writing all these accolades, and I just humbled myself in front of everyone.
Nah, it's all good. But yeah. So obviously, a few people might not necessarily know that you are a Grammy-nominated writer. I just want to know more about the writing side of things, because as of the last few years, like we were just talking about it in the last episode, like writing has become something that is becoming more publicly, people are more publicly aware of it, especially with verses, where we're having verses battles and you're finding out, oh, you might not have necessarily released this song under your name, but we're finding out, oh, you have writing credits on that song that no one knew about.
Right.
Like, what's the process like behind that?
Yeah, that's true. It's cool. Like the writer has become the new producer. So I got to be a producer in the era of producers, even though nobody knew who I was. And I'm getting to be a writer in the era of writers. Yeah, so 2010, I was working in a recording studio, engineering for like local rappers and singers and people from Tacoma, making like maybe $20, $50 on a great week. And that's not a whole lot of money to be trying to live off of. I had recently moved back in with my parents after like a failed attempt at being in a production team and living on my own. So I was kind of like just trying to figure things out. And I get a call from my girlfriend and she's like, hey, we need to talk. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's up? How are you? Because that doesn't sound like a good thing. And she's like, well, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh. And I think I was 21 at this time, because this was around, I may have just turned 21. This is around April or May. My birthday's April 25th. So I'm like, oh, well, I got to put music on hold. I'm going to go back to my old job at the warehouse and we're going to figure this out. I got to make ends meet, because growing up with 6 kids, all I saw was my dad go to work every day. That was the routine. Like you got a family, you got responsibilities, you get up in the morning, you go work. So I was like, let me just put this on hold. And she says, no, don't quit. What if we give it 3 months and see what happens? And I'm like, oh, okay. 3 months. Make enough money to support a family. All right, let's do this. And around that time, I started a writing team called Writer's Block. And so when I found that out, I told my management team at that time, and that was pretty much all I told. My parents didn't know, nobody knew. And I just went to work like a madman and just stayed in the studio writing every single day. And just making records. The first song we sent off was a song I'd been working on called Pretty Girls. And we sent it to a guy named Tommy Rodham, who's the A&R for a label called Beluga Heights. Beluga Heights, Tommy's the one that found like Sean Kingston on MySpace and Jason Derulo and a bunch of those people. Actually, Jason Derulo got discovered because he was writing for Sean Kingston. I believe they were friends. But yeah, that we sent a record to him, and he wrote us back and was like, "Hey, who's this kid? And what's this? Send more music." So that's what we just spent every day sending records, and bomb after bomb after bomb, and fail after fail after fail. We thought we made it when we got that email, and then I realized like, oh, I'm not a songwriter. I thought that I had what it took because I had one good record, but this is hard. So 3 months of sending music, it gradually got a little bit better. And they invited us to come out to LA. We go to LA, do some sessions, got to meet them, came back to Tacoma. Then they flew me out again by myself to go out there. And I went out there by myself, did some sessions, came back. And then we started working on like a publishing deal contract. And I don't know if either of you have negotiated a publishing deal or a record deal, but it can take some time for them to send back revisions of the contract. So you say, okay, we can't do this. This doesn't make sense. So let's send this contract back. And it would take them like a week, sometimes 2 weeks to send the next draft back. But then around, I think maybe October, they started sending revisions back like 3 or 4 times in one day. And we're like, what's going on? Like, why are they all of a sudden like giving us what we want? And it seems like they are more interested. We get a phone call, and it's a guy by the name of Zach Katz who says, hey, we don't know for sure, so don't tell anyone, but we think that one of the records you wrote may have ended up on Nicki Minaj's album, and Rihanna is going to be singing the hook. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, oh, that's why they want to sign us now, because then if we do our pub deal with them, then that's their record as well. Okay, that makes sense. So sure enough, I race home and I look up the track listing, and number 5 was a song called Fly, and I was like, I think is that what I wrote? And then I looked up I found Rihanna talking about the song, and she was talking about it was her favorite song. And I'm like, there's no way this can't be real, because these people only exist inside of computers and laptops and TVs. Like, these aren't real people. There's no way that my song from reality made it into that world. And then the record leaked, and I got a chance to hear her singing the song when we were driving back to Tacoma from LA. And I remember like tearing up like quietly in the back seat because I needed that so bad. And this was like that was confirmation that, okay, this is meant to be, because I had this much time to get this done and there's so much on the line, and it really worked. Like something finally went my way. And so the album came out October or November, the day after, it was Pink Friday, so the day after Thanksgiving. And I think she sold like 1 million or 2 million records in like the first month.
Yep, she went crazy.
Yeah, then everything changed, and it was like, oh, now you're a multi-platinum songwriter. And then like the next year she got nominated for a Grammy, and so now and then she won an American Music Award and just all this different stuff. So like it just changed my whole bio. And now like and mind you, when I joined that writing team, I didn't join as a songwriter, or definitely not as a singer, because nobody knew I'd even made music. I joined to make beats and to give beats to the other writer to write to and send off. I just happened to have a song that I've been working on. And the reason I had that song was because my first car that I ever got was a Ford Explorer Sport. Had 4 TVs, the crazy speaker system, because I had that good job at the warehouse before I got fired for being late to work because I was going to studio sessions. But that car was like my pride and joy. Somebody broke into that car, took my speakers, took my TVs, took the headrest out of the seats to get the TVs out, took out the console and the dash. So there was just a hole in the front of the car that like wind and stuff could come into. And so, well, not wind, but like moisture and things like that. Yeah. But so now I'm an artist and producer with no sound system. How am I going to make music? So now I have my process, instead of going around and listening to beats, my process is drive around and write songs a cappella. The thing about writing songs a cappella is that it has to be good to be good a cappella. You can't, if you're writing a hook with no music and it's gonna be memorable, that means that you have to come up with strong melodies and strong concepts and strong ideas. So every time I got in a fight or an argument, or I just had an idea or a concept, I would just be driving around Tacoma making up songs. So the first song I did that I sent to them, that Pretty Girl song, was a song I made up because I was driving around Tacoma and I said, man, it would be dope to make a music video with a bunch of pretty girls in it. I should make a song called Pretty Girls. And then I just like literally made it up on the spot. Then the next song, I was like, dang, I've been listening to a lot of Freddie Mercury, a lot of Queen. And I wanted to make my own version, my own arena rock, like anthem song or like fight song. And so I was trying to like come up with an idea for that, driving around with no music, just singing a cappella. And I was like, it should be like kind of like We Will Rock You. So like, I came to win, to fight, to conquer, to rock. I'm trying to think of the idea, and I get rear-ended by a car, and it completely throws off my whole vibe. And I leave that idea, that song is gone. And I go, and the guy, I don't have no insurance. The dude had no insurance, so I just told him, God bless you, and just have a great day. And hoping that I would get blessed somehow, not knowing that like a year later, I'd be in a studio session writing to one of Tommy's beats, and that idea would come to me. 3 months after that, Nicki Minaj has a song, or Rihanna is singing the hook. So like that's why the neighborhood I come from is important, because nobody would have broken into my car if I was in a nicer place. Where I live now, I don't even lock my car, which is not a good habit. But back then, my car was locked and loaded and was in front of the house, and they took everything out of that thing. But yeah, so that's how all the Grammys stuff happened, from just a lot of suffering and loss and risk and fear and pressure. But yeah, got something to show for it.
I don't know, like in my head, when I sort of thought about the whole writing process, it was always like a collaborative effort. So when knowing that you had a song which Rihanna sung the hook on, it was sort of like in my head, it was like, oh, you were in the studio, Rihanna was right there, you were working together, to bring it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have been able to come up with any good ideas at that time if Rihanna was sitting next to me in the studio, because that's there's different kinds of like, I only recently, like as a songwriter, got into a place where I can really like write my best while I'm in the studio in the moment. There was a long time where my best ideas from like being outside of the studio, and like I'd advise us for any songwriters or artists that may be listening is like, whenever you have an idea or a concept, or just spend time brainstorming concepts, write them in your notes. And then I take those notes, those lines or those concepts to the studio. And when I heard a beat that fit or an idea that fit, I would build out the song to those ideas. But like a lot of the times you go to a session with an artist, and if you're not in the right mind space, in the right zone, you can go in there and just bomb, and they play a beat that's not good, and you're trying to write something and force it. Then the artist wants to like change ideas and put their own ideas in, and they don't have good ideas, but you got to keep them happy. So you're trying to work with them. So I was fortunate back then to have come up with that idea just outside of the studio, and just have it ready when it was time.
There's that story was like, there's so much in there to unpack. Like that's an amazing trajectory, and like how things just came about. I think one of the questions I have coming off that is obviously Flyer comes out, album goes crazy, the song goes crazy. I think I'm in my head, I'm remembering those two performing that at an awards show somewhere, but I may be getting that wrong, but I think they did. What was life like directly after that then? Was it instant, success, like you're in the industry, like things are moving, or was it still that sort of slow grind back to that waiting 3 weeks through to months to hear back from labels or artists about your work?
Yeah, it was it's weird to think about that time now, because it was such a blur and so many things happened within that year. It moved fast in some ways and slow in some ways. I think a lot of the things that I expected to happen didn't happen. And then a lot of things I never knew about and as far as the music industry side, happened. So one thing that was slow was the money. I thought like, I'm about to be rich now. No, that's not how it works. It was because it takes like with the PRO that I use, the performance right organization that I'm with ASCAP, it was like a year. We would get royalties like a year after the release. So the album coming out didn't do a whole bunch for sales for me. The single coming out is what did it. And the single didn't come out until the next year, which fall of the next year, which meant I didn't get paid until the year after the fall of the next year. So that like in January 2012 is when stuff started coming around. Spring 2012 was when I finally got the check that was like, oh, I'm in the music business. And then December of that same year, the check started to shrink back down. I was like, wait, am I still in the music business? But yeah, stuff changed as far as just like opportunities and like doors opening and people wanting to work with us. So now all of a sudden we're flying out to LA and doing sessions with all these different people. And like people, when I think the crazy thing to me was like, again, accepting what was going on. And like I talked about earlier, giving yourself permission to be in that space and to feel like you belong. Because I was so used to rejection and so used to like hearing no and so used to not being good enough that I didn't have a lot of like confidence. I had confidence in myself, but I didn't have confidence in other people's confidence in me. So I wouldn't put myself out there because I knew what I could do, but I was so used to people not recognizing it that I didn't want to like even deal with their disappointment. And a lot of people took that as me being like shy or timid or like insecure about it. But it was like, no, I know who I am. I just don't know if you can see it. And I don't have enough energy to risk myself and put stuff out there. So I didn't really take advantage of a lot of the things that were on the table for me. I didn't really do a great job at securing my own relationships with these people that we were meeting and these A&Rs and executives and presidents of labels. I relied on other people to manage those contacts for me. And to hold on to those relationships for me, which is something I would like definitely do different if I had a chance to go back to the beginning. So there like a lot of people wanted to meet me and wanted to work with me and had opportunities for me. But then like I thought my city was going to throw a parade for me, and I was all of a sudden going to be a hero of Tacoma, and everybody was going to know where I'm from. Like being successful is almost like a crime because we're such a small, and I'm sure you guys can relate. You're from a small city that's pretty close to a way bigger city that you have to reference in order to explain where you're from.
Yeah.
And the goal is to get it to the point where they know what you're talking about. But and of course we would never say we're from the bigger city because I want people to know where I'm actually from. But like I thought that like, man, I'm putting Tacoma on the map. So now they're gonna like respect me when I go to these clubs. They're gonna let me in. When I do this, they're gonna do that. And no, it was like, it was almost offensive to people that I had done what I did and accomplished what I accomplished, because now it leaves them no excuse but to do what or to go above and beyond and push themselves and chase their dreams. So now I'm making everybody else look bad. I'm not making them look good. I'm making them look unsuccessful. When I come in the room, people get uncomfortable and feel like insecure about where they're at. When I thought I was going to come in the room and make them feel better about where they're at, because I'm from where they're from and anything is possible. And that also revealed a lot to me too, because it lets you know that some people know that you can make it. They just don't want you to know that you can make it, because if you make it, you leave them behind. And so they weren't surprised that I did what I did. Some people weren't surprised that I did what I did because they saw it all along. They saw I wasn't going to stop. But yeah, it was, so the changes that I was looking for and the accolades I was looking for and the respect and admiration and so-called love that I was looking for did not come. But definitely like the opportunities in the music business were there. They were plentiful. Actually, about a year after I did the artist thing, after the Nicki record, we did a Jason Derulo song, and then we did a song, that Pretty Girl song came out by an artist named Ayaz.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the idea that I was driving around like, man, if I made a song about pretty girls, then we could do a pretty girl video. And the chorus was, there's a lot of pretty girls in my city. There's a lot of pretty girls in my city. I'm trying to pick the right one. Trying to pick the right one. That's all it was. That's all it was. But what sold that song? What sold that song was the beat. The beat was the hardest thing. But you guys haven't heard the real one. You guys heard the remake. The one I did, which is hilarious because I just met Cochise. I was trying to make. There's a song called "Teach Me How to Dougie." So I was trying to make a song that you could Dougie to, and the beat that I made was that same vibe, that same feel, but it had more of like a I don't even know how to explain it. It just had more of like a sunset on the beach, listening to music with your friends vibe to it, with the Dougie beat in the background. And I just met Cochise like a couple weeks ago on Clubhouse, so that was dope to me that he's the one that produced that Teach Me How to Dougie song. But yeah, that idea came from. Anyways, we placed the record with Jason Derulo and Ayaz, and then fall of 2011, they offered me an artist deal. They wanted to shop me to some labels, so that opened up a whole nother chapter, and that's kind of why I got away from the songwriting stuff and stopped placing records, because a lot of people thought, oh, he had that one record in him and then fell off. I was like, no, I just did what I actually came in here to do. That's a really long answer to your question.
Great answer though.
Honestly, the more information, the better. I think the final question that I have is obviously you've now have like 2 projects out, which is obviously Deep Sleep and Be Good. The real thing that I'm curious about is obviously Be Good. From the outside looking in, anyway, it looks like it's completely produced by E. Jones. But obviously you've now told us that you're also a producer. But I wanted to know what the difference was between the two, like working with one producer and potentially working with various producers, as well as producing some of your own songs on there. Because we're starting to see a lot more artists do that, where they're only letting one producer produce the album. Like, for instance, Ben the Butcher just did one where it was pretty much just Hit Boy throughout the whole album producing.
Right.
Is there a difference? Is there a benefit that you see from working with one producer?
Yeah, I think that so I came up making beats again. I kept making beats and producing, and I learned how to actually because we all know there's a difference between beat making and producing. I actually learned to produce actual records because I spent a lot of time engineering sessions, and then they found out I make beats. So then I'd get to actually help them produce the song and engineer the song and record the song. And a lot of those artists were not the most polished, experienced artists who had mastered their crafts. So I was doing a lot of work to get their music to sound good. So I got a lot of experience in like taking a record from a certain place and trying to bring it to another place, because I needed to do that to feed my family and to feed myself. So I spent a lot of time working as a producer and just making beats. And then I couldn't afford to buy beats from anybody. Not from the producers I wanted to work with. They charged too much. So I had to make my own, and they had to be good in order for me to like them, because I was picky. So like it all kind of worked out. But I think I'm stubborn as well, and I can be either a huge snob when it comes to music or a stan. I don't really have it in between. Like I either hate it or I can't get enough of it. Like people like people like James Fauntleroy. Like his music's on, I don't know what to do with myself, and I get frustrated because I can't call him and tell him how amazing this is.
He needs to make more. I don't know why he does this.
I don't know. I don't know. It is bittersweet for me because if he makes more, I'm just gonna be listening to his stuff. Are you guys on Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was randomly in this writer's room, like about how to make a great song. This guy named Lou Palongo, shout out to him. He's super dope. He invited me on the stage to like just kind of talk and listen. And I was in there for like 4 hours. And then there's a guy named Rob Knox, who produces a lot for Justin Timberlake. And you know who writes a lot for Justin Timberlake. So he's telling all these James Fauntleroy stories. And then all of a sudden he leaves the room, and then James Fauntleroy pops up in the crowd. And they're like, James is here, bring him on stage. And I'm sitting here like shaking, like, no way, it's really him. And I'm like, I've been doing this for a while, but I still like freak out when my heroes come around. So I got to ask him about like some of the records he wrote, and I told him, I was like, one of my mentors, I'd heard about you for a while, but one of my mentors showed me a song that you wrote called Like a Fool, or Bird Song. And I heard it. I was like, I played it the first time, and we talked about how dope it was. And he left, and then I like turned off the lights and locked the door and like 70 times. And I was like, I couldn't make music for a month and a half because of trying to remake what you did. And like I was looking for like flamenco guitars and Brazilian guitar records to write songs to. And I was like, that's how powerful what you did. That's the effect that it has on other people. So for me as an artist, when I fall in love with something, I fall hard, and I have to be careful, because I told you, I feel everything is very intense. So I have to pace myself and limit the amount of like outside inspiration that comes in when I'm working on music, because I will overwhelm myself. But anyways, I produced for myself for all those years and did my own music because I'm picky, and I'm bougie when it comes to production, and not even necessarily the quality of it. It's not like it has to be super pristine and like mixed like Dr. Dre, but just like the ideas for it. For me, I like writing to stuff that's like a canvas that's open and that has space in it. And I like stuff that's different and that makes me go to like get out of my comfort zone and fight to find good melodies and things like that. So producing my own music, it was easy to make something I liked because everything was controlled by me. I didn't have to tell anybody no. I didn't have to fight over ideas. I didn't have to negotiate ideas or negotiate creativity. If I didn't like the beat, I didn't have to tell somebody and hurt their feelings. I could just do what I wanted. And I avoided working with other producers because I wanted to have complete control over the idea and make sure that it kind of turned out the way I wanted it to. So like, and there's more projects. There's Deep Sleep and Be Good were the most recent ones, but there's actually one called, there's three, but two of them are out publicly. There's a series I did called Journey to the Land of the Lost. And within that project, there's 3 EPs. The first one is called Plant City. The second one is called Limbo. And the third one is called Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost came out only on my website, so it's not on DSPs. But those two, if people listen to those 2 records, that will give them an idea of more of who I am musically, because a lot of people see me as like what Be Good is now. And I think that sonically that's where I am. But that's more of like a city inside of the state. Inside of the country. But anyways, E. Jones. So I spent a lot of times doing my own stuff, and I was on Instagram watching Spice Adams.
Same.
I love it's so funny. And the thing for people that if people don't follow him, follow him. And one of my favorite things about him was the music, and his skits was always, and I'm like, what is this? What song? Where are you getting this from? And there was this one song that I always heard, and it was this Take 6 flip. And I was like, this is the dopest beat I've ever, who made this? And I could never find out who made it. One day he tags the guy who made it. And it was a guy named E. Jones. And I'm like, I got to follow him. I go look him up, and I look through his whole catalog, and I find the song that had that song in it, that had the Take 6 flip in it. And then I follow him, and he followed me back. Oh, shoot. And I'm looking, and he's like an A&R at Jamla Records and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, this is dope. and I have to interject here too. Because this can be confusing for people that are hearing this. For me, on the writing side, I'd found success and I could pretty much do what I wanted and get what I wanted, or like work with whoever I wanted. On the artist side, that's a completely different thing. Because my accolades, the nominations and the platinum stuff is for songwriting. The artist, a lot of people do not really want to like mess with or worry with your artist stuff if you're a songwriter. They just want you to write records because they can place them with bigger artists. So it was a big deal for me for him to follow me back, not because it was like this. I think I could work with him on my stuff, and that would be a big opportunity for me. Placing records is dope, and that's cool. I love doing that, but like it's different when it's for your own record. So him following me back was a huge deal, and I loved his stuff. He was really dope. And so we were following each other. I DM'd him a couple times. He DM'd back. Everything was cool. And I was just like, I wonder what this is going to turn into, or if we're even going to work, because there's a lot of people you interact with and nothing really comes of it. So from my point of view, one day he just randomly hit me up and asked about doing a project. I had no idea what it was about. From his point of view, when he tells a story, there's so many different references in here. He was listening to the Joe Budden podcast. Joe Budden had Maul from the Joe Budden podcast had played one of my songs, Sleeper Pick. He heard that song. More. It's more.
It's always more.
So and it was funny because he played an R&B record. He like, which is like not really like him. So he played this song called Sweet Dreams. And it was so if you heard when they went to Spotify, their very first episode on Spotify, that was when they played my Sleeper Pick. So for me, that was like the biggest day ever, because I listened to that podcast since the first day when Marissa Mendez and Rosenberg were on there. So he played that. E. Jones heard it, hit me up about doing a project. He sent me, and I have to get this right. Previously, he had sent me records to write to, and I thought they were like placement ideas, and I was already hyped about that and freaking out about that. So when I didn't get to it because I was coming off tour. So when he hit me up about doing a project with him, I was like, he wants to work with me. Like, it's not just about trying to write a record for somebody else. So I flipped out and I told him, like, absolutely. And I never worked with another producer. I'd never let someone else make beats for me or send me beats to make on my own. If they did, I never paid any attention to it. But he sent me some records, and I was like, what is this? And I was going through some stuff in life at that time, so it hit me like right in the emotions. And the first song we did was You Say. I Don't Think You Love Me Like You. That was the very first one I sent him. I sent it to him. He hit me on a Saturday. I wrote that. No, he hit me on Friday. I wrote that song Saturday, sent it to him Sunday, and he was like, he said sounds dope or something like that in the email. And I was like, dang, I just put my heart and soul into this, and it just sounds dope. He hates it. He hates me. He hates everything I've done. He's not gonna want to do this project. And then the next day he hit me and was like, bro, I've been listening to this on repeat since you sent it. And I was like, oh wait, okay, it's not terrible. And that's how my mind, it goes from either like yes or oh no. And that's a lot. That's a really good example of how our dynamic was, where he was very short and just kind of to the point and organized, and I was all over the place and emotional and excited and sad and happy and all that stuff. But he balanced me out and helped me to kind of stay on task and stay focused and make a bunch of those ideas. So he helped hone in on just a sound and on a storyline and an idea, and we made it happen.
That's a fantastic segue into where we need to go next, because this album, Be Good, man, we were just talking about like our, obviously end of 2020, like which artists and which albums made our like top Spotify ranked, right? And Reem was looking at his and he was like, E. Jones is at 10, and then right there next to him is Will Jordan at 11 with like 15 hours, and that is just from since Be Good came out on October 13th. We have our own like views and opinions, but we wanted to hear from you. When you were, making this album, what were the like themes? What were the ideas, the thoughts that you wanted to get across in this work? Because like I said, we have our own views, and we've gotten into them on this podcast. We'd be happy to get into them for you now. But I just wanted to hear from you, like, what was it when you were going into the studio or working from home, or when you're writing and selecting beats, like, what was the messaging that you wanted to get across with this album?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. A lot of people don't really ask it like that. They just say, what did you want to communicate with? But like, this is exciting to talk about because I obsess over these things. I had a dream that one day, I had a dream that I was in like the show Cheers, but it was like a pizza parlor. And it was me and E. And this was like, I think maybe May or April of this year when it finally hit me. Like I knew, like sonically, I knew when I heard the music, it was, I wanted, when I make projects and albums, I feel like, or even songs, I feel like the song is not done until somebody listens to it and it takes them somewhere. They have to be able to see the place or the setting or the video or the part in the movie as soon as the record comes on. Like I want you to want to close your eyes and just like go there with me. So the place that the music kept taking me and the place I kept wanting to go to was like, I don't know if you've ever seen a TV show called Living Single, but on the intro of Living Single, they're on these rooftops in New York and there's like clothes on the clothing lines and like people, the ladies dancing. Big Frida's dance. No, I don't know if her name is Big Frida. Big Les is dancing. And the sun is setting and you just see these pretty colors in the sky. And that was where I wanted to go. I wanted to feel like an evening in New York with like, it's hot, but there's like a good breeze going and you're just like hanging out with your friends drinking pink lemonade. I told them pink skies and pink lemonade. That's what I kept talking about for like that whole first 3 months. It was like, that was the colors I was seeing and like orange and things like that. And it was, I think it was May of this year. I had like a dream about the whole Cheers thing, but it was like a pizza place. And I was like, what if this whole album was based around like me and Eric working at this pizza place? And we're just going through the different things that you go through in life. And then any people that feature, they're working with us, any producers that we have on our musicians, we can get them in the video. And it just all kind of spilled out to me. And I telling my team when it hit me, and it sounded so crazy. And I was like, they're not going to want to go with this. This is not making any sense. And everybody was quiet for a second. And they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just send us some, like, just make a Pinterest board with your ideas on it. And we'll like, this could work. And I was so blown away because I was used to people thinking I was crazy when I would go that far into detail, but they trusted me on it. And then I was like, this could work because everything we do could be centered around this pizza place. And when I started talking to them about merch and about like ideas for t-shirts and like we could put stuff in pizza boxes at the shows and do this and that, and we could like the video, we could shoot it in the place and I could use this storyline to explain this stuff and Eric can be working there. And they're like, oh, that actually does make sense. So we all kind of got excited about it and just started working on like putting together photo shoots and graphics and studying different things. And a big inspiration was Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee movie. So that was where the whole like pizza idea came from. And I was like, this will be cool because I'm going to reset my whole Instagram and reset everything and get people to think that I'm just working at this pizza place with this guy named E. Jones and they don't know what is happening or what's coming. So that was where a lot of that came from. And then just the music was literally everything that was going on in my life at the time. From Be Good to You Say, all those songs are real songs. The only song that may be confusing to people is the which I like throwing a song on there that people have to think about is the Hold On to Me.
Okay.
Hold On to Me. I wanted it to sound like at first like I'm just this toxic dude that's like dragging this person down in this relationship and I'm begging them not to give up on me. But what the song is actually about is about your dreams and your goals talking to you and begging you not to let them go. So when you listen to it and it's talking about, I know you're probably mad at me, all the plans that you have for me, I turned them all into tragedy. You gave all that you had to me, you threw your life in the trash for me, left your mom and your dad for me. But this ain't what it's gonna be like. No more sleeping under these street lights. We'll have everything we like. Just please don't leave. Hold on to me. So it's saying hold on to your dreams, not hold on to me as a person.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that and I was trying to find a way to like put that in at the end to like do a big reveal. But I was like, no, I think this is better because it's kind of abstract when you don't that but yeah, everything on there was based on real life and about real relationships and real stuff. And I think that's why it worked. And one of the coolest things was I was talking to Eric about it, and I apologized to him, like, hey, I have to let you know, like, life is real right now, so I apologize if these records are like too heavy, but this is just where I'm at, and like if we need to do some more positive upbeat stuff, I can try to do that too, but like this is where the music's taking me. And he was like, bro, I'm right here with you. Like he's like, I've all these, this has been some of these have been my life for the last couple of years, so I'm like, go for it. So he gave me free creative control to like just go off and like go where I wanted to and do stuff that may not have made sense to the like a new listener. He didn't mind me taking risks and jumping off the ledge and just going for it. So that's the first time I really got to like, for one, like be myself, but also be supported in being myself. It wasn't me like fighting for ideas and fighting to make stuff make sense to other people. It was more like somebody just gave me a canvas and all the dopest paints and colors and brushes and said, do what you want. So
yeah,
that's what happened.
That's amazing. Again, there's so much that I could go off with that. Like, I think one of the things that you said at the beginning is when you sort of envisioned pink skies, pink lemonade, right? And I always think about, I say this to people all the time, there's something special about like artists, especially from the West Coast of America, where whenever they make music, they can always transport you to where they are, right? Like, or where they're visioning. Like, I always think to like Tyler, the Creator, his album Flower Boy. Like at the time I'd only really been to California once. But when you play that first song and where this flower blooms comes on, and right before Frank Ocean comes on that song, you literally feel like you're on a beach in California. Like when I listen to Ty Dolla $ign's song LA, I say it to Raheem all the time, like if you've heard Ty Dolla $ign's LA, if you've ever driven up the 5 highway in Los Angeles, you feel like you're driving up the 5 highway, right? Yeah. And that your music, especially this album, did the exact same, where like you were transported to, the first time I listened to it, at least, I saw these stories that you were talking about playing out. Like, especially my favorite song off the album is After You, right at the end.
Wow.
I've been playing it all the time, like nonstop, because the first time I heard it, I literally felt like I was watching you or whoever it was have the conversation with a significant other who was leaving. Like, where am I supposed to go? And what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't keep on waiting, chasing like all of that. And I'm
going to, but
I will. I'm going to, but I just can't do it. It's not good, but I'm still gonna do it. I asked that to say, like, right before you came on, Raheem, like we were playing Be Good. The song Be Good was playing, and how it starts off. And we were just like, there's no wasted energy in your writing. Like we make basketball analogies all the time on this podcast because we're a music podcast, but secretly we're a basketball podcast. We're just waiting to get our audience up and up. And we always talk about how like you don't want to take bad shots or wasted shots. Everything you want to do, you want to be efficient with it, right? On the basketball court. And it felt the same way. Like from the first line, there was a punch of what we were talking about on the album, and it stayed so consistent, so through. So like, Raheem, I don't know if you just heard that while you were off. He was saying, "Hold On to Me," the song. It's not about a toxic relationship like we thought it was when we were doing our Two Stubborn Nigerian Awards. It's about chasing your dreams. I was like, yo.
Whoa, what? Because you know what's so funny, yeah? Like literally before like the interview was set in stone and everything, I was talking to one of my friends about like the interview and the questions that I was coming to ask, and I said, no matter what happens, I have to let Will Jordan know that this album was kind of toxic.
Oh yeah, that's so toxic. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that this is about Hold On to Me was about chasing your dreams. That's crazy. What about Goodbye? Because I'm not gonna lie, Goodbye was the one that was like, hitting the toxic bag.
So so Goodbye. I'll see if you guys caught this. There's no such thing as a goodbye does not mean there's no such thing as like saying goodbye. It's no such thing as a goodbye. Yeah. And that's why I split the words apart.
Yeah, I saw you. I think, are you promoting the video for that? Because I saw you like tweet or put on your Instagram about that, like goodbye. There's a reason for that space. And the other day,
that's why, because it's saying there's no such thing as like byes are always difficult. It's never fun. So it's about like the ups and downs you go through when you're trying to like get out of this thing and trying to figure out like what is happening. I wrote that I wrote that song. I started writing it while I was on the phone with the girl I was writing it about. We were on FaceTime. And so I'm singing, I think it was the bridge at the time. What ended up being the bridge was the beginning of that song. It was like, we don't got no problems until you lose it. If you really love me, won't you prove it? All that stuff. Like I was mad. I was upset with her, and I muted myself and was just singing the song. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna unmute this. And I muted it, and she's just sitting there, not even paying attention. And I'm like, this is our problem. You don't care about me. But so that, yeah, that song. And again, it's more about trying to be honest and about be realistic, because so many people make these cookie cutter either black or white records where it's like, I love you or I hate you. And one of my recent discoveries over these last few years, just being an adult and being a person and being human and feeling everything, is that you can feel multiple emotions at the same time. You can feel multiple ways about somebody or a situation at the same time. You can hate somebody and love somebody at the same time. I just had an epiphany, and I'm gonna put this in the song, but I'm sharing it with you guys because I like you guys. But the line hit me with, I believe you love me if you like me too much. Yeah. And I was like, so there's like, I'm learning and just dealing with some complex emotions and feelings and finding ways to, like, the hardest part is writing about them, because to make it rhyme and it has to make sense, and the words have to sound right, and then the words have to sound right connected to other words and with certain melodies. So it's harder to go deep on those things. But that was my way of, like, that's my edge, because I don't, like, if people haven't noticed this, there's not a lot of like super like adult or like vulgar. It's pretty clean if you actually if you comb through it. But what for me, my edge from is just being honest and being transparent. I think there's nothing edgier than honesty. A lot of people use value and try to just say the craziest stuff to get your attention, but that kind of wears off. But when you're really honest and you're really telling the truth about stuff and how you really feel about stuff, I hope he breaks your heart and you come running back to me.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not happy that you moved on. I don't, and I wasn't even the best for you. And what's cool about that song is, in that song, if you've seen the video, on the role I play, I'm the guy that messed it up, and I'm mad that she's with somebody else. Mm-hmm. In real life, I'm the guy that answered the door. Yeah. And like my new girlfriend's ex-boyfriend is here dropping off pizzas. I don't know who he is. I don't know there was a whole exchange. So, but for the sake of that song, I was writing it, like, I remember Eric sent me that track, and the minute it came on, oh my gosh, and this is such another rabbit hole I'm not going to slip into it. Have you guys seen? Yeah, I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that alone for another conversation. There's a really deep, crazy connection to that song, to the song it was inspired from, and like the Wu-Tang show. I don't know if you guys have seen the Wu-Tang story. Oh, please watch it.
Heard about it.
Oh, the one on Hulu?
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I've been meaning to. It's tough because we don't get Hulu out here, so I don't know if they have that anywhere out here.
Yeah, don't watch it illegally on any other platform.
Nah, we got you. We
would never recommend anything like that. That would be terrible to do. But if there's any way to check it out, when you get to there's a part where he's shooting a music video. Yeah. If you ever do that, or if we ever talk again about music, that's a really crazy connection. But yeah, when I was writing that song, started with the first line. I had that hook in my phone somewhere, but I didn't know what it was for. I thought it was gonna be a pop song for like a pop singer to like an up-tempo beat. But the first line of that song came, and I was like, what does this mean? Listen here, babe, you already said too much. Settle down. I know you don't like about us. What am I talking about? The words came out and the melody came out, and I was like, this is too good I have to do this. But how can I make this make sense? And I spent like 2 days thinking about it, and I was like, wait a second. This is somebody I was with, and she's not supposed to be talking about us. And she's like kind of ashamed or embarrassed. Because I'm like, if it's just a girl I just met, like, it would be weird to say like you don't like to talk about us. I don't know her. But if it's no, and she's not supposed to be talking about me, that means she's with somebody else. What is she doing? Why is this happening? When I'm writing a song, working with songwriters, I tell them, just keep asking yourself why. better concepts and better ideas the more you ask why. If you just say I love you, why do you love them? I love them because they're like me. What are you like? I'm like this. I don't like this. Like, you just start asking yourself questions and digging deeper. So all these songs have just been like, starts with one place, and I'm trying to figure out why this is happening and like what the storyboard is. So
I think, like, you know, in all you're saying, like, one of the things, like I said, we were just talking, and you can tell the years of writing that went into like a project of this for you, because like I say, from the first, just the simplicity of, I just want to be good, but I can't seem to get myself together, right? Like, we always talk, well, like, one of my personal favorite artists is like Janae Aiko, and I always say, like, when Janae's at her best, it's almost like you're listening to Jay-Z do R&B music, because every single line means something, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean, like, there's no wasted energy. And we felt the same about Be Good, especially as a song, just like, it feels like you're just talking the story at times, and then it's just put beautifully over a melodic beat, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And the vocals there just hitting. But I say that to say, you know, we've gone through a lot of songs now, and like I said, we have our favorites, and maybe this is like asking you to pick, like people say, never ask someone to say which one of their kids are their favorite, which is crazy, because if I ask my mother, I know exactly who she would say. Like, and it's crazy. But I wanted to ask, like, which one of these songs, off Be Good, or even Deep Sleep as well, like, do you sort of, is there a song that you always listen to of your own, or that you hold in just a high regard for whatever reason, whether it be just how it came out or the story behind it? Is there a song that you, or even, no, actually, this is a better one. When we do our Get to Know Us section, one of the things we like to say is, what song best defines you? So what song from your collection, whether it be off Be Good, whether it be off Deep Sleep, whether it be on the previous ones, what song best defines you?
Oh, because I had an answer for that first one. I know how to kill that question, because it changes depending on my mood, like where I'm at, how I'm feeling. But the song that best defines me off that project, goodness gracious, I would say usually for me the first song on the project is like my pilot episode, or like the character development record. So I think that I would say probably Be Good, just because it wasn't the first song that we wrote, but it was the one that I was like, if people heard one song from this, because you have to, when you're putting that project out, I'm still a project-based person. I can do singles. I came up in pop music and working on pop records and radio records, but I am passionate about like a full experience, an album experience. And so when I feel like when people hear that first record, I want it to tell them like what to expect. I want to give them as much of an idea of who I am and what my personality is, what my perspective is, what role I play in this movie we call the music business. And that song, it was very honest. It was like, this is where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. And like, to add context to it, I was in the middle of a lot of different transitions at that time. I had just done a tour, like a West Coast tour. I was trying to do 3 legs. I was trying to do a 3-part tour. I had done 2 parts of the tour, and I didn't know how I was going to make the 3rd part happen, because like stuff was just falling apart, and like just career wise, I didn't know where I was going. And I was starting to have those like doubts, like, dang, I've been doing this for a while and I think I'm good, but it feels like I'm not good enough. So it was like, I keep pushing myself, and I'm so used to not being good that I'm starting to wonder, like, am I tripping, and have I not figured it out yet? Or is it too late? Like, is it too late? And these people keep saying, like, I thought you'd be famous by now. I thought you would have made it by now. I'm surprised that you haven't. And I'm like, why are you saying that to me? That hurts to hear that. So at the end of that song, that's where that comes from, is that like some girl you're trying to talk to, and she's like, I thought you would have been on by now. Like, what is, you should have made it by now. You should be famous by now. And I'm just telling them, like, I was at a point where it felt like people were like giving up on me. I could see people like, that were around me, people I was working with, like, yeah, so I know we got this thing going, but we got this kid who's like 17 and or 18 years old, and we want to see if you kind of just mentor him and get like teach him. And I'm like, dang it, but like, what about, like, I still gotta get somewhere. I've given 10 years of my life to like developing and trying to get good at this stuff. Why am I done? Is my time up? So it was a lot of questions and a lot of like fears and concerns. And again, my edge comes from my honesty. So I was like, if I talk about this, maybe it'll maybe it'll wake some people up, and maybe it'll inspire some people, and it'll get a load off my chest and let people know that like it's hard. Like this is not an easy thing. But I don't want it to when I talk about painful things or difficult things, I want it to still look beautiful. I want it to still, like, if I was a director, it would be like shooting something from my neighborhood, or capturing a scene, like a difficult scene, or capturing like a place that maybe like where I'm from, Tacoma, a place where people were scared to go to, and because they were scared of violence, or people would always talk about getting robbed or their car stolen. So I want to capture that place, and I want to show people how beautiful it can be. So I want to get the best cameras, the best cinematographers, the best color correction, all that stuff, so that people can see it for what it is and see it the way I see it. And it's the same thing with life. Like when I was going through different situations, and it's just tough, but I don't want to make you suffer through it. I want it to be enjoyable. I want you to, like, if you're gonna have to take this medicine, I want it to be the most delicious tasting medicine in the world. If you're gonna drink something healthy, I want it to taste amazing. If you're gonna eat some food that's good for you, I want it to be like good to you. And so that song for me was like going to a dark place, but like making sure there's lots of pretty colors for people to admire on the way. So I think right now, maybe tomorrow it would change, but right now, because even After You it took a long, I've been trying to get that song out for a long time. And if what we got to do is we got to meet up, or find a way for me to like actually pull up a Pro Tools session and show you guys the evolution of these records, because what it started off as versus what it became, that song almost didn't make the project. Wow. Because for one, I recorded it at another studio, and then the pandemic hit, went back to that studio to get the files, all the files except for the folder that the files were in were gone. And I'm like, how does a whole Pro Tools session disappear? All I have is this other version of this. So I had I'll email it to you guys. I have a 2-track version of the original version of that song that has the hook, and I loved the vocals. I love the quality of it. And I even recorded it on different equipment, so it sounded different, and I couldn't get that same feel back. I'm like, dang, we can't use this because it's not as good as the first one. But then we got Farnell, we hit up Farnell, and got him to put the trumpet solo on there. And I just did some rearranging and moving stuff around, and it was like, okay, this might be the one. Like this went from being the one that we're skipping to I'm playing this over and over again. And so,
man, that trumpet solo, like, necessary.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's from Portland, Oregon. That's like 3 hours south of where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And Oregon is like our sister state. Like they're the other like Northwest. When people think of the Pacific Northwest and the trees and forests and all that stuff, Oregon's like the cooler, like kind of edgier. Like right now, they just made all drugs pretty much legal in Oregon.
Yeah, so, shout out to him, Lillard.
Yeah, so that's where he's from. So he used to play with Bootsy Collins. So he's played trumpet with all the greats and all the most amazing people, and he blessed us for sure, because there's no way I should have been able to even afford to have him on there, but he showed us love on that for real. But yeah, I think of all those songs, I think Be Good right now in this moment, I feel like that's the one that probably defines me the best.
It's so funny that you mentioned those two songs, because literally like a few weeks ago when we were talking about it, Be Good is my favorite song off the album.
Wow.
And then your favorite song off the album is Paul. What's your favorite song?
After You, from the first time I heard it, like, and I've been going through something crazy the past few months, so I haven't been able to just loop that song on repeat every single day. Has just been so helpful. Like, wow. It's amazing, and it's another one of those songs, and it serves as an example again as well. I was talking about just like the writing, every line. It was just like, wow. It was the exact emotion. It's the exact sort of internal conversation you're having in your head every single time. Like, where am I supposed to go? Like, right. What am I supposed to do? Like,
I can't even drive down the streets I used to drive.
For real, yeah.
I can't go through your neighborhood. I got to stay away.
Different. Yeah, it was serious.
So yeah, again, I think a lot of that was why I brought up that HSP thing in the beginning, because I think one of the cool things about I think none of my, like, when people talk about gifts and being gifted and things like that, I don't think a lot of my gifts weren't directly musical. They were mostly like things like on outside. Like I love patterns. I'm really good at patterns and recognizing patterns. And I use a lot of analogies and metaphors because my brain like likes to compare things and like find things that are similar and like use that to illustrate stuff. And so with music, it's you, if you're feeling everything, you're very careful about the words you choose and the melodies you choose and the production, because it needs to match what you're feeling. So if this doesn't, if this line, if I like when I sing a line, there's a emotion I feel. And like for me, if I look at, there's a blue cup next to me, and I look at this cup, this makes me feel something. When I look at this like pillow on my bed, that color makes me think of something and takes me to a place. So like every line, all those words, like it's and you can ask E. Jones, because it would be sometimes where he would send me a record and not hear anything for a few weeks, and I'd be like, because of the first song I did it in one day, so I'm supposed, it seems like I have this super quick turnaround time, but I was just really in that zone when I did You Say. But like some of them, it was like, okay, I know I have the melody and I have the pocket down, but I don't know what the song is about. I have a few lines, and I would say that so much. Like I have a few lines here, but I don't know what this is about. And I'm sure that probably sounded crazy to him, but it was because like everything needs to, I don't want to have a point where like it dies off and I'm like, oh, I want to skip this line. When I'm working with songwriters, I tell them every single line needs to be your favorite part. Like if there's a part in this song that you love the most, then you need to take that same melody and you use it somewhere else, or find another melody that matches it. But it should never be like, okay, I don't like this part, this is just filler. He's just like trying to find words. I don't think it's good to write songs for the sake of just finishing a song. I feel like it needs to be like realistic stuff. And yeah, I had fun going back and forth, and like in a real conversation with somebody. I don't know how many I've been in. I'm jumping around so much. I've been in a lot of on and off relationships where you're good and you're not, you're good and you're not, you're good and you're not, you're back and forth. And a lot of those arguments and conversations you have is like, I don't want to do this anymore. How can we work this out? Like, what do we have to do to make this make sense? Because I don't want it anymore. Fine, I give up. I quit. Well, you're giving up on me, so I'm gonna give up too. Well, then how can we make this work? Please don't leave. Please don't give up. Why are you putting on, like, there's so much back and forth, and you go in so many circles. I think SZA does a great job of that as well. Like she will just be, and I love how she writes as well, and people she works with. So I think that it's dope to just I was just trying to make it as human as possible, and make it as realistic as possible, and so that we could all feel something. Because a lot of the music right now is about like not feeling stuff and being numb and like being in the club and just not thinking and ignoring what's going on. But I was like, let me change the whole sound of it, so it's gonna jar people. This is not the same tempo or the same BPM what they're used to. It's not the same sounds. It's not anything. It's when I first played that record for some of the people that I was working with, like, and I stopped playing music for them. I stopped showing them the songs. I played them After You, and they were like, oh, you're making like old school music. And I was like, oh, you don't get it. Okay, let me not share anything else. But because I wanted to do something different and find a different sound to really make people listen and have to like, I didn't want them listening on autopilot. I wanted them to feel every turn, every drum part, all that stuff. So
nah, yeah, like we say it here on this podcast all the time, like a lot of people, I believe, incorrectly say that R&B is sort of dying. What I think they mean to say a lot of the time is that it's changed a lot from what I would consider the golden era of R&B, which is like 90s/2000s, where it's very similar to what you're doing now, whereas like modern day R&B, you have people like Bryson Tiller, right next door, who are very, sonically is just very different. It made your album even more of a breath of fresh air. But yeah, again, like just to not close, but I think it's very telling when I listen to your album and I put it next to 3 other songs that have done it in my past, where I listen to it, and even though I'm in a good place and I'm not necessarily emotionally hurt, I'm listening to it like, damn, this could be even deeper to me. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, it just so amazing. So
thank you.
Enough good things about Be Good, man. It's such a good album.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a good time there's a lot of different times. We started in regular times and went through a pandemic for the second half of it. So there was it took a lot of there was a lot of work and I went through a lot of changes while that project was coming out. And there was definitely some downs, but then like it's definitely been more and more up. And again, I wanted it to be heavy because I wanted people to have a chance to, like I tell people, when you're going through stuff, sometimes you want comfort food, or you want soul food, or you want food that's very rich and lots of flavor, and you can't eat it every day, you can't eat it all the time, but like you can always go back to it. And if it's done right, you can eat it a few days in a row. You might binge on it for a week straight and then have to take a break. And that's what I wanted to do musically. I wanted to like make a musical version of like your mom or your grandma or aunts or family's cooking, where it's just like this is it's very potent, it's very rich, like it's not too much salt, but there's as much as you can possibly put in here. So like with the melodies and I didn't want to go too crazy with them, because my mind can go into the matrix and I'll start doing random stuff. Like even in this one, I was like layering background vocals where there's different parts saying different things over the top of each other, and I'm repeating lines and like doubling. I was like, why not just do like Tommy Rodham, the guy that A&R'd for me, that found the Nicki Minaj record, he had me study a lot of not Beastie Boys, oh my goodness, the Beach Boys. And I think some of that came out in this project, where they would like say it like, I think on Goodbye and on Be Good is a lot of like saying a line and then coming in on top of that line and saying the same thing or overlapping yourself. So I just wanted to like give people as much of that as possible and just make it really rich. So I'm glad that like it came across, it translated, because that's all I wanted, was for people to like feel something when they listen to it. So that's the dopest thing you could ever say.
Absolutely. Well, I can only just say thank you for joining us today. And one of the games that we like to play on this podcast is called the 3-word game. And what we try and do is when we finish reviewing an album, we'll typically say, describe this album in 3 words. And so I'm going to throw that to you, but I'm going to ask it in twofold. One, could you describe this album, Be Good, using 3 words to people who may not have heard it? And to people who may not have heard of Will Jordan, who will be listening to this podcast, could you describe Will Jordan, either the person or the artist, in 3 words?
Yeah. Dang, this is crazy, because I did this with my publicist and I can't find my my notes. That would have been a cool cheat sheet. Most iconic words just ready. To describe Be Good, I would say it's not 3 words. I was gonna try to be clever and just use one of the titles. It's actually 3 words. I was gonna say Hold On to Me, but that is not 3. I would say, this is gonna sound so cheesy, but I would say Dreams Come True.
Yeah.
And the reason I would say that is because first, a lot of the ideas that I had for that song came to me while I was sleeping.
Dreaming. Yeah.
It's funny because it was a follow-up to a project called Deep Sleep, and then where I'm at now and the stuff that's happening like in this moment and at these times is stuff that I dreamed about, people I dreamed about working with. Those doors are like opening, and stuff that I wanted to happen, but I didn't know would happen. It seems like they're happening. So like take whatever you're doing, whatever life is giving you, and figure out a way to like turn it into art. Like I love when they say like it's like little memes where it'll say like a garbage can but make it fashion, and like it's like that's to me when you take something and make it art, that's what, like, make it fancy. And I've even like for people like us, like people of color and Black people and everybody from the diaspora, like we know, we just know, we all know what we go through, and we don't even expect other people to understand it. So I'm speaking to us when I say this, but like wherever we're at, we have a way of like turning it into something. And a lot of times we don't get enough credit or give ourselves enough credit for how amazing we are at that. And that when we go places, we transform stuff and we bring life and color and inspiration and fun and excitement and flavor and seasonings and flavor to stuff. Doesn't matter where you're from. Like if you find us there, we're finding a way to make it art. So that's my whole goal in life is, and I don't want it to sound like I'm doing like an inspirational speech, but like is to help people and inspire people and teach people how to like polish what they're doing or take what they're doing and like add value to it. And it's not even about like it's valuable because other people see the value in it, but if you see the value in it, if you believe in it, and if you're excited about it and you're passionate about it, you'll be inspired to do the work to refine it and to fine tune it and get it to the point where other people can appreciate it. And so I feel like if all of us could do that or knew how dope we were, or what that we already had superpowers before the end of December.
Yeah, facts.
Like we would find ways to do that. Obviously, it's not easy. There's a lot of oppression. It's not like everything is just working out the way we plan for it to. But I think the more we get in touch with what we have and what's inside of us, and it doesn't just go for us. Anybody's capable of it too. But anybody that's like dealing with resistance or backlash or oppression or anything like that, if like make it, just take what you're doing and make it dope, and even if it's just for you and your family, because you never know who that might inspire and who that might like touch and inspire to make ideas. Tupac said, he said, I might not change the world, but I will spark the mind that changes the world.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be that mind. Everybody uses that quote now, so it's not as cool as when I first heard it, but I put it like, I did a mixtape a long time ago called Electric Ill. And I think one of the songs, no, that's on SoundCloud. One of the songs I used that skit, and that was my biggest motivation, was like, I want the people that inspired me to be proud. And I wrote a song off of that called All My Friends Are Dead. And then Uzi Vert did this. Like, how did somebody else come up with this title? It was about like trying to impress and make the people that inspire me proud. But anyways, yeah, dreams come true is what I would say about the Be Good project.
You have to send Uzi that move. He stole my whole
bro, word for word, bar for bar.
Yeah, like how does somebody else think of it? I had to respect them because it's such a like unique concept. I was like, I can wait to finish this song because nobody else is gonna think of that. And even Deep Sleep, I put a song out called In My Feelings. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be the one. And then a month later, Drake put out his album, and I'm listening. I'm like, dang, he has a song called In My Feelings. And people are texting like, Drake has a song called In My Feelings too. I'm like, oh, but this isn't a single though. Like this was more like an album cut. Like it's not even, doesn't even say, there's not even like it's not even in the hook. And what's his name did that? Shiggy did that video, and then and I just put out the video for that song. I'm like, this is gonna be the one that like really breaks the industry open for me. This is gonna be my single. I just got to work it. And then Drake came out with In My Feelings, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and that project, Deep Sleep, was my make it or break it project. I said, if this doesn't work, it might be time for me to just start teaching or songwriting full time or doing something else full time because people are not getting it. And so when it didn't land like I thought it would, and the people didn't really catch to it. The people around me didn't really catch on to it like I wanted them to. And it was just, they thought it was too slow and too dark. And then Maul playing that song on the podcast is what like brought me back to life, because I was like, I'm stuck and I need a tour for this album. I don't know if I can do it. I believe it's possible. I got the idea. And then I was like, this is crazy. I was like, I need a spark. I said a little prayer. I was like, I need a spark because I just called this girl that was working with me named Shaylee, who still works with me now on booking and stuff. But I was like, hey, I have a crazy idea. I know some people in China. I know some people here. I know some people there. If we can get shows there, we have a way to do like a world tour. We don't have to do 75 dates. We can do 15 dates and just hit Hangzhou and hit Taipei and these different places that we have friends at. And that's a world tour. This could be dope. And she's like, let's do it. I'm down. I'm like, okay, let's keep it a secret because I don't want anybody to like rain on our parade, but let's figure it out. After I got off that phone call, I was like, okay, I have somebody on board, but I need a spark because my streams are not really reflecting my goals right now. And the vision that I have for myself does not really make sense when I'm looking at like the fact that nobody's streaming this project. And I kid you not, I went on my Twitter, picked up my phone, and my friend Titus Tucker from Atlanta tweeted me and he tweeted Maul and said, yo, Maul, you're a real one for playing Will's song on the podcast. And I'm like, wait, no, he didn't play it. because I remember a few months ago I tweeted the song to him and he retweeted it, but he never played it on the podcast. And I'm sitting there like, he did not. No. And I rushed to my laptop, open up the laptop, open up Spotify, and I don't know if I even had a full account on there yet because they had just joined Spotify. I fast forward to the end of the podcast, and I hear Maul talking, and then a song comes on. I think it was a Lloyd song, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't know why he thought that was my song. And then all of a sudden Maul starts talking, and he's like, this next song is from an artist named Will Jordan, and I start losing my mind. Like, it's on. You can't tell me nothing because I just said this little prayer, and now like there's no way, like this is really, it was another moment where I was like, okay, I know I'm meant to do this because I don't know how this is gonna work or how I'm gonna pull it off, but I'm gonna make this happen, and it went from there. But yeah, anyways, dreams come true.
Dreams come true.
And then to describe myself, maybe HSP. That would be a good one. I know I'm supposed to have like descriptive words, but like I'm just now, like as an adult, starting to embrace that side of myself and embracing like being emotional and feeling everything and being sensitive. For one, because I learned how to manage it, and I know how to like just the maintenance I have to do emotionally and spiritually and mentally in order to like stay sane. My daughter is the exact same way, and so it's cool because I can teach her like how to handle it. I was telling her, like, imagine if you had hearing where you could hear every conversation in the city happening at the same time. For the first, it would drive you insane. Or if you could read people's minds, that's a better example. If you could read people's minds, it would drive you out of your mind because you would know more than you want to know, and you would know the truth behind what people are thinking and saying, whether you want it or not. But if you can learn how to manage it and like and control it in a way where it's like you have a handle on it, it becomes a superpower. And I was like feeling everything, feeling everybody else's emotions and seeing their emotions, whether body language, all that stuff, whether you want to or not, you're reading their minds. You know when somebody's telling the truth, you know when somebody likes you, when they don't like you, and all this different stuff. And it's not something that you may want or want to experience. You know, everything feels like something. If somebody says something to you, if it's a compliment, it feels amazing. If it's a fake compliment, it feels bad. If they're just telling you like, hey, how's your day? And you overanalyze everything and overthink everything. But if you can learn how to like use that information to help people and help yourself and to be able to inspire people and reach people and hit people right in their emotions and like talk them through difficult situations and empathize like on a whole nother level, you as an artist or as whatever career you go into, that can become a superpower. So I encourage people to like embrace their emotions, embrace their feelings, and embrace like that's information, that's valuable information. And like a lot of us shut down or hide our emotions or what we feel because it's overwhelming. But you can't learn to control something. A lot of people think control comes from suppression. You can't learn to control your emotions or be emotionally intelligent by suppressing your emotions. You have to let them out and learn how to manage them and learn how to be upset about something without flipping a table over, or learn how to be happy about something without doing too much, and just like pace yourself. So I think if I was going to describe myself, I would say just highly sensed person instead of highly sensitive. Sensitive sounds so soft, but yeah, that would be that has an effect and change and has a big influence on my perspective and how I feel literally about everything. So yeah.
Huge. Thank you so much for that. Man, that was great. Like the whole thing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any 2021 plans? That was a question. I know you had mentioned, touring. Is there any signs of like things potentially opening back up for you guys in the music industry, potentially get back on the road, tour this album, maybe take a trip to the UK, tour in the UK, Hey.
I have a friend out there that had some shows booked, and then I lost touch with them. But I was gonna come there too. But yeah, that was the mark. For one thing, when Tommy first heard me, he thought I was from the UK. He was like, "Is he from the States or where's he from?" Because they said I sounded. I didn't know that, but I sounded different to them. Because in Washington, our accents are not accents; they're just very clear. and we all sound like radio hosts and, and like voiceover people. I've always wanted to come out there, because that was, even with Jimi Hendrix, like that was his story, was like not finding success over here and then going out there and like breaking over there. And a lot of people like, you're people in the US aren't going to understand you. You got to go to the UK to really like connect with them, because they'll understand like the soul music and the soul stuff you're trying to do. And I'm like, I mean, one project that was like a soul, but I have a soulful person, but like, don't put me in a box. I just want to make music. But I've always wanted to go over there and do stuff over there. So I'd love to come out there as soon as it's possible. But as far as touring goes, I think we're all pretending everything's going to be okay. And we're also like secretly terrified, because booking a show or making plans or like investing money into stuff like is, when you don't know what's going to happen, is rough. As a guy from Seattle, he was talking about how he had put like $30,000 of like his own money into pretty much everything he had into this tour that he had planned, and was going to, because you're going to flip it. And he had to cancel the tour, and a lot of the stuff that he put money into, he couldn't get it back, like getting graphics made, flyers made, and t-shirts made, and merch, and all that kind of stuff pressed up, and all buying plane tickets, and now they're just giving me credits for the ticket instead of the money. Like it's pretty scary. So a lot of us are like working on like doing like Twitch and streaming and things like that. I'm actually working on doing, oh, this is cool. I'll announce it here. I'm working on a full performance of the Be Good EP. So we're going to try to play the whole thing all the way through. And me, because I like storylines, and I like I've been to every Kanye concert. My first concert was the Touch the Sky tour, my first big concert. And since then, I went to every Kanye show, every Jay-Z show. If Pharrell and Kanye could have kids, I'd be one of their kids. And Jay-Z would be like my grandpa.
Listen. Our first concert, like the two of us, our first concert, it wasn't even a concert, it was a festival. And we both went because Kanye was doing one of the 4 dates that he did for the Yeezus tour in Europe. We both went, took a day off high school.
Wow.
We didn't know how festivals worked, so we didn't eat. Wow. We literally stood in the front row all day of main stage, didn't move, just to make sure I could be as close to the stage as possible to watch this guy perform the Yeezus tour.
Oh, don't let me get into Kanye stories. That's
a
whole nother.
That's a whole nother podcast.
So that he, like, the one show I missed was when he did the Glow in the Dark tour, and he had the Glow in the Dark tour. There was a whole storyline in that show, and that was, for me, that's one thing I always wanted to do, is like to have a show that kind of plays out like a play or like a theater kind of thing. There's a whole storyline, and it's being acted out because it's hard for me to separate music from like reality and from movies and films and anime and things like that. It's all, to me, those are all like connected. So I'm working on putting together a show that will play the whole, like, it'll incorporate like some of the videos and different stuff into it. And that could be the way we debut something else. No, I'm thinking about it. Ooh, that would be hard. Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Ooh, I just thought about something. It'll so we'll narrate. I'm gonna narrate it and like build a whole storyline around it, and do like the songs in between, and maybe even like break down like some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes or what the songs are about. But I'm working on that now. I'm hoping to have it done. We're just trying to find the right videographer for it. So if you hear this, please write my manager back. But we're just looking for the right videographer, and we're gonna do some shows and just put them up online, and then from there start like hopefully start doing more stuff on Twitch and like making beats on there. I'm just trying to be careful with Twitch, because I don't want to start another thing and I want to be able to and not be able to keep up with it. I feel like with Twitch you have to be very consistent and have a schedule, and I'm trying to keep a little bit of the mystery as a new artist. I mean, I'm not a new artist, but as a newer artist, as far as the scene goes, I'm not sure if I want to just be out there every day and put everything out there, because there's more to it for me than just like building a fan base and building an audience. I want to start with people that like understand what I'm trying to do and build that organically through like music. And then like once stuff is moving, everybody knows who I am, then I'll probably do more of the Twitch kind of stuff. But I do kind of like having some mystery and having people have to ask questions, because it gives us a reason to connect outside of just my own personal platform. But those are my plans for for 2021.
Beautiful. That's
Can
actually.
I tell one quick Kanye story?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Up and I
Every
wouldn't
day.
be right if I didn't. So it's kind of a, well, which one? Okay, I'll tell. It's a Kanye Jace story. So when I first got signed, we started working with, we started going to LA and working. I signed with Rondor Universal. Rondor was like a subsidiary label. I hope I'm saying that right, because I hear some people say subsidiary, and I'm like, I don't feel like that's how you say it. But it was a publishing company under the umbrella of Universal, and along with a label called Beluga Heights. So we'd fly to LA and do these sessions at Universal's studios in Santa Monica. They assigned us an engineer, a guy, one of my favorite people on earth. His name is Rich Wrights. He's the coolest engineer I've ever worked with. And Rich, we didn't know that like a lot of people would just use alternate engineers and change engineers every time. We always requested the same guy and used the same guy because he was just super dope. And I had never been in a session with another engineer. I'd always engineered everything. So it was cool. We liked him a lot. So we worked with him a lot, got to know him. And eventually he started we found a way to do our sessions at his house, which made him money and saved us money. And so after working with him for a while, he was like, you know what? I want to introduce you guys to my mentor. What's up? I want to introduce you guys to my mentor. This is the good part. So I want to introduce you guys to my mentor. This guy named Anthony Kilhofer. And he's like the one that kind of taught me everything, and he's super dope. He's a producer, beat maker, all that good stuff. So he brings Kilhofer to the session. Kilhofer, for a lot of people that don't know, is one of my favorite people. He's like the rock star of engineers, but he also has been engineering or had been engineering for Kanye since College Dropout. So for me, as a Kanye stan and child, I was like, what? He's going to be in the same room as us and he works with Kanye? So we're freaking out, but we managed to not do too much. We just try to stay chill and not overthink it and not just talk about Kanye every time we walked in the room and just start singing his songs. We just we looked at, because Kilhofer was dope too, so we paid attention to him and we wrote to his stuff and tried to help him get a publishing deal and all this different kind of stuff. So after working with both of them for a while, he's like, you guys know what? Kilhofer's like, you guys know what? He pretty much just said you guys are pretty chill. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna be going to work with Kanye. I don't know if he was going to Paris or if he was going to, I feel like he was going to Africa. I don't remember where it was, but he was going somewhere that was far from where we were. We were in LA at that time. And he's like, I'm gonna play your music for him, whether he wants to hear it or not. And I was like, oh my Lord, this is really happening. And sure enough, he goes and plays it. And we don't really hear much back from him. I hope I'm telling the story right. If he hears it, hopefully I'm not getting this wrong. But I believe that after this happened, this is a while later. We were coming back to Tacoma from LA. I think we just driven back. And he calls my my old manager at that time and is like, yo, where you guys at? And he's like, oh, we just got back to Tacoma. What's up? How are you? And he's like, I'm good. We're in LA. You guys need to get back here as soon as possible. We rent out a whole floor of this hotel and they want you guys to come write for this mixtape that they're doing. Good Music's doing this mixtape. And they want Big Sean is here. I think Fauntleroy is here and Hit Boy is here and some other people. Common's here. And I'm like,
my goodness.
Okay, yeah. So we're trying to, we never got to go because we couldn't afford same day plane tickets because they would have been thousands of dollars per person or $1,000 per person going back. So we never got to go do that session. But so I've had so many almost close near misses with Kanye. And I look back, I realized I didn't need to meet him because I would have just been if the best case scenario would be me being a muse and giving all my best ideas and sounds and theories and concepts to him, and which would have been dope to be a part of, but then I would have lost my own identity. but so I just got to be a fan and just watch from afar. But what did happen was 2012, I was working on my album with J.R. Rodham and Tommy. And while I was out there, I got called to do a session with a new artist that Kielhofer was managing. And they sent us his music, and he had a song called 16 Chapels that blew my mind. And he had another song called Animal that had T.I. on it. And from what we knew, he was working with T.I. and Kielhofer was managing him. It was this young kid. And we're like, okay. And I looked at his bio and his information, and he seemed cool. So we're like, yeah, let's do the session. So we go over to Paramount, and we get there, and I walk in the room, and one of the hardest beats I've ever heard in my entire life is playing on two really, really large, loud speakers. And they're playing on YouTube. There's a movie, I don't know if you've seen it before, but when you get a chance, look it up on YouTube. It's called Holy Mountain. This is one of the most disturbing pieces of visual art that I've ever laid eyes on. So I'm in here with it was me, this guy, my old manager, Nudie. I think maybe, I'm not sure if Cruz was in there. Clem was in there and Rich was in there. And it's like four of us in there. We're all just standing on the wall, like looking at them, like vibing out and dancing to the music, like, yeah. But then also you look to the left and you see this thing on the screen. It's like, what is this? Because at first it looked like it was just like an innocent like Bible movie, because there was like this like Jesus character that was in there, but then there was like a bunch of Jesus characters. Like, okay, this is not a Bible movie. And then like some weird stuff started happening and I was like, what is going on? Like, where are we right now? And they finally turned the music down. And mind you, again, the beat is so dope that it was like confusing, because your body's like, I like this sound, but this visual is really throwing me off. And they turned on the music, and we start talking to them. We introduce ourselves. And we're saying what's up to Kielhofer, catching up with him, and the kids asking us like kind of like what our vibe is, and we tell them like what records we wrote, which is annoying because then we don't want him to think that Fly by Nicki Minaj is like all we can do, because that's not really the. But we were like, well, what kind of sound do you want? And if you can write this down, I want you to look, because you can actually be in the moment of what we're experiencing. This, if you Google the song, actually I'll wait till I'll wait a second, because you can figure out who it is. So he's telling us like, oh, I'm like, what do you want to sound like? And he's like, I want to, have you guys heard that song Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier? Yeah. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, that's what I want. Like, I want that vibe. And I'm like, dang, really? Because this beat is way different. So the beat, if you look on YouTube, because it ended up being a different song, but if you look on YouTube, is a song called Gold 88. If you look up Gold 88, that's the artist, and that's what was playing while we came in the room. And I remember talking to him like, yo, you are different. You are different. I was like, you can rap and sing. He had a song he was singing on. His voice was beautiful. Yeah. I was like, you can sing and you can make beats. Like, you're about to be a problem. And that was the first time I ever got kind of nervous from another artist, because I was used to being the guy that could rap and could sing and could make beats and could engineer and all this kind of stuff. And I was like a young prodigy. But now this kid, I think he was like 19 or 20, 18 or something like that. And he had already been producing for Kanye. He was telling us about how he, on the, I think it was not Click. It was, what is the other song? Mercy. He was like, I'm the one that did the breakdown of the beat on Mercy when Kanye raps. Or somebody was telling, I was like, what, you did that? But yeah, so introduced himself, and for listeners, he told us, my name's Travis. And I was like, yo, nice to meet you, Travis. I was like, bro, I'm sure you probably already know this, but you're about to be dangerous, because not a lot of people can do what you're doing. Like, and if you check out the song 16 Chapels, that was, I was like, that was another James Fauntleroy moment where I kept listening, because I was like, you are capturing all the different sounds. You're like, you're not stuck in one box. And I still like, I love, my favorite stuff from him is when he goes like outside of that box. Like, I love when he does like the cool trap stuff and the beats, but when he goes to like those different places, that's where I freak out. So that's my Kanye J story. And I would also highly encourage people to look up Anthony Kielhofer. He's a legend. He for any engineers and producers, he has a Pensado's Place interview that's really, 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 really good. And then for any artists that are like upcoming, he has a label called what is it called? Oh my gosh, I feel so bad because I can't think of it. But if you find him on Instagram, his name is like Kilhofer or Anthony Kilhofer, and they have like a label where they're doing single deals for like new artists and like hot artists that have like a record that want to like have a shot at and they'll like do a video for you and a bunch of stuff. But that's a cool little plug for him and his group. But he's super dope dude. He's rock star of rock stars, rock star of engineers, and definitely like gave us a lot of dope looks and opportunities just while we were coming up. So yeah, that was my Kanye Jace.
I'm glad you told it.
Story. That was such a good story.
As soon as you said 16 Chapters, like, this is Travis Scott.
I was like, oh, this guy sounds cool. Travis, like, okay.
Yeah, he had the Animal song with T.I. that I was like, this sounds like a monster. Yep.
And then we did science.
Oh man. Will, thank you so much.
Honestly,
thank you for having me.
This is huge. We're 15 episodes into our podcast, and to be able to, have you be on and just have this conversation with you is truly such an honor to us. Like we literally, there have been times where we just freestyle this podcast. Honestly, like we'd come in every Sunday and we. Sometimes we'll have an idea of what we want to talk about each week. Right. Other times we just sit down and we'll just be like, what are we talking about this week? And we'll figure out from that. So for us to like be at that stage still working through technical difficulties, figuring out how to do Zoom, and to like even have you be interested to come and sit with us for as long as you have and just be as open. And like we say, we're two people who are just huge fans of your work, who are going to go away and even listen more to the back catalog of stuff like you just put us onto. It's truly just been an honor and a blessing. So thank you so very much. Like we can't thank you enough.
Oh yeah, I'm thank you. I'm like, after being in this for so long, when you learn to appreciate like, and I hope to like always feel like this, but like I appreciate when people like listen and like they do, because that's what I'm doing it for, is the people. There's a lot of people that come and go and that like see that you're trending on something, or so you have like a placement or a record or some big news, like people will jump on board and like cheer you on. But the people, I'm doing it for the people that are listening and that like really pay attention and that care about music. And the least I can do is like show up and show my gratitude for the fact that you guys even appreciate what I'm doing. That like I can't like what I'm doing doesn't make sense without you listening. Otherwise it's just me playing it and like trying to like break down to my family like what's going on, and like, okay, this is cool. But when people that like really love music and know music love it, it lets me know that I'm on the right path. And pushes me to want to make more stuff and find more people and connect you all with more people as well, because I know a bunch of artists that like I'm trying to find all the aliens and connect them all together, because I was when James Fauntleroy was on that Clubhouse room, Sean Garrett also came in the room.
Crazy.
And was talking. So hearing Sean Garrett and James Fauntleroy have a conversation about music, and it was so dope, because it was Sean, and Sean sounded like he might have been super faded, but he was still like there, and he was just giving flowers to James, and he was saying, and he said something that hit me, and I was like, dang, I wish I knew these guys, because I know what he's talking about when he says this. But he was like, and it's because to a lot of people he probably sounded wild, but he said, he was like, me and James, like we know each other, but we don't spend a whole lot of time together. But when I see James, I just walk up to him and I look at him, because I'm like, I know what you did. And he's like, I know what you did, and you know that I know what you're doing, and like I know like you're an alien, and he's saying all this stuff that like, it was like hearing somebody speak a different language, but you recognize it somehow, even though you never learned it, because the same stuff we're talking about when we listen to his music, where you just like, you lose where you're at and you gotta like, it's hard to focus on anything else. He was saying the same stuff. And Sean Garrett is a master of, he's one of my favorite people, because he is a master of finding melodies out of thin air. He will take a beat that has no melody, it's just drums, and have so many beautiful melodic things going on that should not make sense. And that it's hard. It's like, and that to me, that's a level of genius. Some people get lucky and do that.
Yeah.
But when you can do that with intention, to me, that's like, like that's, I was in I'm going on some rabbit holes. I'm going to let you guys finish, but I was on in 10th grade, I'll never forget. I was in math class, Miss Garrett, and she let somebody borrow a pencil or a pen, I think, and needed the pen back. They're sitting in the back of the classroom. They threw the pen up to her. She didn't catch it, and the pen landed directly inside of a water bottle. And we all stopped and we're like, wait. She was like, I just want you all to just enjoy this moment, because that is never going to happen again. What Sean Garrett does with melodies, that's what it's like. There's no way you should be able to do this again on this beat. We hear the stuff like Massive Attack and it's like, how did you find this in this? So it's dope when you find other people that like care that much and put that time and energy into it to like fine tune and find those little niche areas that they can like master and perfect and show that it's possible to do it and repeat it. So I stand for people like that, and it's cool to know that people like hear that I'm trying to get there or that I'm working on it and that recognize those things, because that's all you want, is like to know that you're not crazy and that and to inspire some other people with what you're doing, and also to let the other people that are trying to do what you're doing know that like there's a reward in it. Like it's a long journey, and it can be a dark road at times, but like people see you and they recognize you and they know like it's not all in vain. So this means a lot to be on here, and like if you guys ever need anything or ever need somebody to come in and be a third host for something, or I'm always, or even like I think on like the Joe Budden podcast they said what's his name, the dude that manages Black, he's like he's like Justice. Justice is like their Atlanta advisor. So whenever they have questions about that, they hit him up and call him. So if you ever, I'll send you guys my info stuff too. So if you ever need somebody to like weigh in on songwriting stuff, I would love to be the person that you call to like give their take on something.
Listen, I'll give you the third honorary Nigerian. That's what I was about to say. But
you know what? And I'm 53% Nigerian. I found out last.
Wow! Come on, it's destined. So it was written in the stars.
Yeah. So it's I'm Nigerian. I found out. So, and I might be wrong about this. From one of the tests, they said we're 53% Nigerian.
Yeah.
And then another test, we did the African ancestry thing, and it said that I'm going to say this wrong, Bissa. I'm from the Bissa tribe,
Bissa
and then
tribe.
I'm from
Fulani.
Fulani, yes.
Yeah.
So my mom is Fulani and my dad is Bissa. That's another part of it, but I don't know how the Nigerian thing ties, or what part of where I'm from, or what, I don't know what anything means. I know that those places are from like New Guinea and some, I don't know because they took us away. Put us on slave ships.
Anyone with Nigerian in them is destined for greatness. Honestly, that's really how it is. It just means we got to tap into it. That's all it is.
Right on.
Say here all the time, man. Nigeria never carries last.
Carries last.
Don't come in last place.
I think I would like, as you've been talking, Will, I think like, I don't know if this is already in your like thoughts, but whenever you next go on tour, I would envision it like a Lauryn Hill MTV Unplugged type setting. Like, just play the song, and then after each song, for as long as you feel, just explain it. Or even let the audience get into trying them explain. Like even the first time I listened to this album, I pictured it like just you on stage, maybe a small band, however, an intimate setting. And then like literally after every song, you could just stop and have conversations with the audience, like with a small group of people who,
especially with your storytelling.
Definitely
fit. It'll definitely fit. That's all
That's funny, because literally before the pandemic kicked in, I changed the format of my concerts, and it happened because somebody asked me to do like a birthday party like last minute, and I was like, I don't really want to, but okay. And I came up there with my brother and like a laptop, and something went wrong where I didn't like the guitar player couldn't make it, or somebody couldn't make it, and so I had to figure out how to make this show make sense. So I was like, I'm gonna do something different. I told him I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna tell a story, and I'm gonna do the song. I'm gonna lead into the song with the story, and you'll see like what the song is about. So I'm like finding my way through that. So now that you say that, I'm that's confirmation for me that like that's really the place to go with it.
I think so.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna now I really got to get to work.
All right, man. We like we said, we just thank you so much. We're gonna let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day. You got a whole day ahead of you, man.
Yeah, it's morning for you.
Just for the afternoon. So thank you so much. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch. Like, no doubt you ain't heard the last of us. But thank you for joining us on track 15.
Man.
The Two Stubborn Nigerians podcast with the one, the only Will Jordan. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Man, yo, Paul.
I love that, man.
That was an experience.
Was
a real experience. I feel like for a lot of people who wanted to know more about Will Jordan, I feel personally like I've learned so much that I didn't even know beforehand.
Bro, I learned so much. Like, even just the fact that Fly started off as like a rock ballad, like that's one of the most beautiful Rihanna hooks I've ever heard.
Like, who would have thought?
Not me.
Man, there's so much in there, and I think the biggest thing that I want to make sure that people take away from this is like look at the stages and the checkpoints that Will Jordan hit. He hit a lot of checkpoints that you would just assume, oh, okay, at that point you feel like that's it, I've made it. There's no more work that needs to be done, but he never stopped working, and that's the reason why we are still being blessed with music today. The journey is not one checkpoint. It is a bigger goal that you should always continuously work towards, and that's the same energy that we'll bring to this Two Stubborn Nigerians podcast every single week, baby. Thursday, don't miss us, B.
I was waiting for you to say Suwu to really round that off. Like,
come on. Yeah, we're supposed to be working in tandem. We're dynamically duo. You have to know to just do it.
Nah, it's my fault. My fault. Bro. I echo everything you said. Like on the song PIMP, the video by 50 Cent, he starts off the video by saying, "Whoever said progress was a slow process wasn't talking about me. I'm a PIMP. Plus, I got the magic stick." Then anyway, so he said that, right? And that's great for 50 Cent, but for most other people in the world, progress is a slow process, and you saw how long that took. Fly came out like we was in St. Paul's, like we was in ties. You know what I'm saying? I haven't wore a tie in like 6 years.
It's so long.
I don't know how to tie a tie anymore. And we're just now hearing about, Will Jordan as an artist himself. And so it tells you about how long the progressions are, but the perseverance and the self-belief that you're gonna ride that storm, and you're just getting totaled in your car away from coming out with that hit that's gonna get you to the next level. Boy.
Man, it's really inspiring, man. It's really inspiring.
It's truly inspiring. And I hope, that whole conversation just gave you guys a little bit more into one of our favorite artists, someone who made both of our end of 2020 most played lists. Go and give that Be Good EP a listen. Like,
I promise
you actually won't be disappointed.
At all. Huh. But, Paul.
Yeah.
We have to get into segment, whatever you want to call it. We have to get into a segment that this podcast will be nothing without, to be very honest with you. You know what? Let me be honest. I wouldn't do this podcast if this section wasn't here. It is the section of the podcast where we come together and give the people our weekly recommendations for music. Now, we've already recommended to you that you go and listen to Be Good and any other Will Jordan music, because well and truly, again, super talented guy.
Crazy talented.
There's nothing. Listen, if you go away and you listen to just Be Good on repeat, I promise you will become a better person.
That's facts. your whole perspective on life will just clear up. All of a sudden, your tax score, your credit score, through the roof.
Bam. Like, don't ask me how, but I started listening to Will Jordan, and all of a sudden, everyone around me just seems happier.
Yo, Reem, I started listening to Will Jordan. All of a sudden, those grey hairs I was screaming about on track 14, gone. Long gone.
Fam, my beard is starting to come in fuller. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, I'm back in a do-rag. That means the hairline might be making a return. It's not. Let me know you let people
But as much as we've obviously recommended that, there's other music that we also want to give love to. Paul,
Yeah,
what's your recommendation for this week?
man, it's another one of those recommendations, or it's not my recommendation for the week. My recommendation for the year. Bree Runway. What an artist. What an artist.
Speak on it.
She was plugged on BBC Radio 1 Extra. Fuck BBC. She was plugged on Radio 1 Extra's Sounds of 2021, right? And they did comparisons. And her comparison was Mr. Mina, Missy Elliott. You know what I'm saying? And so just take that as you will. Man, I can't even. This is another one of those people where like this recommendation segment can't do them justice. It has to be a segment in an episode. So maybe that will come at some point. But I just implore all of you, Bree Runway, sensational artist, for not just the sound, the vibrations. Go listen, enjoy yourself. Bree Runway. It's another recommendation for the whole of 2021. Kex, talk to the people at home.
That's a big one, man. I've been seeing a lot of Bree Runway out there as well. Man, the one I want to bring it a bit closer to home. A good friend of mine, he released a song some point last year. Yeah, last year, 2020. And I remember the first time I heard it, I didn't know it was by him. I saw it on a Twitter video, and I thought, man, who is behind this song? It was literally maybe a month after, when I was trying to figure out like who the song was by, that I realized, oh, it's my guy who made the song. Like, how are you not gonna let me know? But man, this song here, Dangerous, by Chooks. The song's called Icy. And listen, man, I don't have enough good things to say about it. Just icy, wifey, pricey, money come fast. Let me not. Just go and stream that. Go and enjoy the music in it, because it's, I can't lie, just a vibe, it's a bop. Go and enjoy.
If I may, just real quick, not to steal from your shine, not to steal from your guy's shine, but I and we would be remiss if at this point you, having just said the word icy, didn't say, shout out, sweetie, we love you.
All the time, every day, all day.
Every day of the week.
Man, I can't lie. Listen, if you've enjoyed this episode, you're going to need to come back next week, because the sweetie section I have...
Fam.
It's coming. It's coming. Be ready.
Sweetie, I'll snuff Quavo. Yo, Quavo will shoot me.
I'm dead.
Quavo, you will have to meet me at door.
Yo, I come with Julian.
Quavius,
bring me my firearm. Like,
Quavius, you will meet me at dawn.
Yo, I don't think people still don't understand. I am trying to fight for someone's honor. Someone, I don't even care who anymore. Like, I just want to fight for honor. It's a gentlemanly thing to do. Like, Shonda Rhimes had me in my feelings. Like,
that's crazy. He said in my feelings. And track 14 is just right there, waiting for each of every single one of you. Now that you're through track 15. Hey man, you didn't mean to. We just do it. That's who we are.
Fam, there's certain things that are just destined. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Natural, man.
Natural. But if you're angry at the fact that things come natural to us, I guess you're just gonna have to sue me.
Sue me. I'm rooting for everybody that's black. I need you to know. I need you to know about a woman, an independent woman, a boss lady. Nah, there was another word I was going to use in place of lady, but I wanted to keep it PG.
Yeah, come on, man.
a boss woman, who without her and her presence, this championship team that we built,
speak on it,
doesn't even get off the ground floor.
At all.
We don't make it to the next level that we're at. Some of you follow our Instagram page. That's at @2_stubborn _Nigerians. And repeat it one more time in case you're hard of hearing. It's cool.
Please.
It's @2_stubborn _Nigerians.
Yes, sir.
You've seen our logo.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen our watermark.
Yes, sir.
And you've seen the cover art for this illustrious episode that we had here, track 15, Be Good. All of that, like every single inch of that made possible because of the creativity, the innovation, the forward thinking, the passion, the drive, the sheer unadulterated excellence.
Yes, sir.
Of one woman. At Mara Lee Visuals. Is it at _ Mara Lee Visuals? It's at _ Mara Lee Visuals. It will be in the description.
It's in the description.
All of your logo, illustration, videography needs, get it now.
Yep.
Because soon, and I mean very soon, Kex, you can attest, very soon, the price is going to be up.
Fam, I'm telling you now, man. Like one, she's working with the Two Stubborn Nigerians, and you know that in itself is something crazy on your CV.
Straight elevation, because at this point, we don't carry last, and we can never lack. So
look at us. We're doing interviews with Grammy-nominated artists, like
on track 15.
Wake up! But nah, for real, fam. Big shout out to Mara Lee Visuals, man. Like, fam, Paul, you can tell me if I'm lying here, and if you still don't believe us after Paul told you I'm not lying in a second, you can message her and ask if we were lying. You know, obviously we had discussions about our needs for the podcast in terms of we wanted a graphic for this episode, we wanted a new watermark, and it was really just a case of me messaging her, and I just told her like, yo, we want this and we want this, but me and Paul trust you so much that, yo, you take whatever you think is gonna be hard and get back to us, and then if we need to tweak anything, you know, we can tweak this and here when you get back to us if needs be. She sent back the designs. It was literally like, yo, can we just get literally that a bit to the left? Cool. Yeah, perfect. Like,
that's it.
She's just in her bag. Like, she's been doing this. She does do this, and she's good at what she does, man.
She turned visions that we didn't even know we had into a reality, for real. And we can only thank her. There's only so many times we can thank her, and we'll thank her every single opportunity we get to say thank you. We're gonna say thank you. And listen, check it out. Check it out. Simple, I promise you won't be disappointed. And I mean it. You better get in on the ground floor right now, because that stock is rising. And once it reaches that top level, it's going to be too expensive. You're going to be upset. You're going to be upset. You should have put in.
I could have got this when, you know, it was a bit more affordable for me, but now I'm looking silly because now it costs 10 grand to get a logo.
Jay-Z already told you I could have bought a place in Dumbo before it was Dumbo for like 2 million. That same place today is worth 25 million. Guess how he's feeling? Dumbo. You could have got your Mara Lee visual today for price. You can contact her for the price. But then now tomorrow, price has gone up. Guess how you're feeling?
Dumbo.
When are we gonna have a Jay-Z episode on this podcast?
It needs to come soon because me, I'm ready.
I'm sorry, like I'm actually so ready.
I don't think you understand. I prepare every week just in case we decide to switch it up. Like 4:44 on the tip of my tongue every single week.
Yeah, because there's literally 5 hours on American Gangster waiting right here. Like,
oh my days,
I'm daring someone to come in here and just say the word Allah, so I can just.
Oh man, that's it. We're moving. That's it. You did something. As soon as someone says public service announcement,
that's another one, that. Bruv. As soon as someone says rock boys, I was like, do you hear the horns? Do you hear those horns?
All of a sudden, I have to release the flutes. That's
like,
it.
All of a sudden,
I'm in my production bag now.
And that's like, anyway. Anywho,
that's it. Rock boys in the building tonight. Oh, what a feeling! I'm feeling life.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out tonight, man.
Thanks to each and every one of you.
If you made it this far into the episode, you know, once again, we just want to say thank you. And we know that it's the people who've been rocking with us from day one, especially, who will be here as well. So if you've been rocking with us from episode 1, if today was your first episode, if today is the first time you've heard us and you decided it's not for you, either way, listen, we're happy that you guys got to enjoy with us, got to sit down and relax with us.
Yeah.
And that's our podcast, man.
Yeah, we just want to wish you all wealth and health.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to be good. You see what I did there? Because the album EP, it's called Be. Go listen to that EP for real.
How does it be good?
But I
can't seem to get myself together. Oh man, I'm gonna break into tears.
Like fam, man said, landlord knocking at my door again. 'Cause I can't afford the rent. Boy.
People really don't understand the pain of landlords knocking on your door. When my uni landlord was trying to tell me, yo, rent is due. Jesus Christi.
No, but listen, do you know when it's worse, yeah? It's worse when you can't afford to rent and they're knocking at your door and you're literally looking at the Jordans that your rent was supposed to be. Like, all of a sudden you're looking at those Jordan 4s and you're like, were they really worth it?
Fam, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's when you have the money to pay the rent, yeah. But you know, once I pay this rent, that is it. Like the food that I wanted to get tonight, I just have to eat, sleep for dinner. Like
all of a sudden, ice and water replaces Cocoa Pops because.
Oh my days! Listen, we could stay here for hours, man. But Paul, I just need to let the people know, especially for the people who are listening for the first time.
Yeah.
For the people who have been here, you already know what I'm about to say, so I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it real quick. Nigeria never carries last.
Unto your soul.